Welcome to CATtheMinion YouTube channel. My name is Theresa, but you can call me Cat. This is going to be the November zodiac slash astrology slash horoscope style reading. This is for Scorpio. It's for anybody who has Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. I was trying to remember what the other things were. Where's my little... I had a little notes for what the things were for this month. So what's going on? Scorpionic energy. Pluto's in Capricorn. It went direct in October. And I think I haven't looked at the sign stuff for what's going on in November, but the only thing that I know for sure is that Pluto is in Capricorn, so that's Scorpionic energy. Now Mercury's retrograde, and while I'm recording this, so by the time Mercury goes direct, at some point in November, it's going to go back into Scorpio. So there is that. And on November 28th, Neptune is going direct, so that's going to have an influence on this reading. Fellow water sign. Alright. Let's see what else is going on here. Pluto energy is fire, is judgment, so we're still going to be working on karma for November, which makes sense because I've been planning on doing these ancestral... I don't even know what I called this reading. I gotta check. What did I call it? I didn't remember. I should have just printed out my cheat sheet, my grid sheet, but I made a scribbly note instead. Hello, computer. Ancestor overview. Wow, that was difficult. Alright. Ancestor overview reading. So I don't know why, but for some reason, as like a vestige of the more in-depth ancestor readings that I had offered for a while, like a year ago, or over a year ago, this was still listed as $134, and I was like, wait a minute, why do I have longer readings that cost less? So I changed the price today. This is a $77 reading, and it might still be wrong on my infomercial video, but I'm just going to have to deal with that because I've changed it in... Oh, I have to change it on the page, though. I need to do that. Let me write myself a note. Update info. On YouTube. Okay. So, this is a $77 reading, despite what may still be previously hanging around, and not $134. Now, I've used my charms instead of 2 cards here in the reading, and now my battery's crapping out. I had expected that, but not so quickly. Just try to keep an eye on it. I'll change it in a minute. I've used charms here in place of where 2 other cards would go in this reading, because when I pulled the decks to use, one of the things that called me was the box of charms. So I'm not going to use them on top of the readings this month. I'm just doing more freeform. They're basically like having another oracle deck. Although they could act like a tarot deck as well, depending. So there's usually going to be 2 cards here. I've taken them out and substituted the charms. What else was I going to say about this reading? Oh, normally if you add all of my readings are based on having cards out, and then since charms are fairly new, you can add charms on top of any other reading for $7. Okay, so if I had the 2 cards here from another, like, pretend these are cards, I'd have 2 cards here, and then if I put charms with it, with the reading, I'd spread them out all over the other cards, and that would be an $84 reading, for example. Alright, so loud vehicles. So this ancestor reading, I'm just going to explain it real quick. So I have, these are more ancient ancestors, these are more less ancient ancestors, and these would be sort of more recent ancestors. So it could be parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, or it could be within the last couple hundred years, a couple thousand years ago, and then like 20,000 to however hundreds of thousands of years ago. Those are the kind of time frames. So if it's sounding like people that you know of, it could be just like each a generation, but it very well could be massive time scales. So we have tarot for the more recent ones, and then as we get into the more distant past, we just go into the oracle cards. So I have, this is going to be for you over here, this grid here. So I have a Wands energy, that's like your core being and drive and modus operandi and stuff like that. And then I have Cups energy, so that's your emotions, your psychic intuitions and stuff like that. Then I have Swords energy, that's thoughts, perceptions, communication. And then Pentacles energy, so that's your physical body or manifestation or finances, money, resources, things like that. And then I have, additionally to these sections, I have columns as well. So we have the past, the present, and the potential future. And these here are supposed to be advice for you personally. And then these cards down here are wrap-up cards which match these ancestors. So it's sort of like after the whole reading and your advice for yourself based on what you're trying to heal or message you're trying to get from the past, we get this sort of overall commentary from the distance. Alright, so I'm going to get into this. I know you can't see everything. I've got it focused to about here. So we're going to work with it that way. So this is November Scorpio energy, and I felt it was appropriate because Halloween is sort of, it's the death of the pagan year, and then the next day, November, is like All Souls Day. Although I think in the cheating off the pagan exam paper there, Christianity has called it All Saints Day. But there's this idea that you hit the death knell of the year, you start the next year, and it's sort of like judgment, like all the souls are released on the new year. So I feel like that theme is good for November. And then it goes, we're going to be in Scorpio energy for, well, starting before the beginning of November, but at least 2/3 of November is going to be in the sun sign of Scorpio. So there's this idea of that plutonic death energy, and also it's the dwindling of light, at least in the northern hemisphere. So there's that aspect as well. And Scorpio rules the genitals, so there's already a lot of fire and sacral energy present, and we're going to see more of that as people deal with guilt and shame and how to deal with excitement that just kind of overloads their electrical system in the sacral area. It has to do with creativity, the sort of opening the floodgates of your energy to go up into the higher chakras. So if you don't feel safe, you're going to be bottled up and it's just going to sit there in the sacral chakra. So I'm recording this on October 17th, and when I tried to do a card of the day yesterday, I had a computer issue because I accidentally kicked my desk, and I have a desktop computer there, and knocked the power cord out of it, and it scrambled my video that I was recording because I was using my webcam. And I had done like a good 20 minutes with all these sacral energy cards, and I was sort of fumbling to explain it well because I could understand it, but I don't think it was coming through. And I was just about done, and it wouldn't. The video didn't work, so I did a different one that was a slightly different reading. But I think for these November readings with the Scorpionic energy, that it's really gonna come out. That energy is going to be present. It was kind of like a preview for November. Now, oh, never mind, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to make another segment. I'm going to change the battery, so once I start talking, it won't interrupt my flow as much. So you won't really notice the difference unless the camera angle changes slightly. But in my world, I will be right back. Alright, so let's get into this Scorpio November ancestral reading. So this has to do with ancestral trauma, karma linked into your DNA. It could also be messages coming through from your ancestors. Anything of that variety. Alright, so let's look at wands. So this is past, this is present, this is future. So in the past we have a core drive of the Three of Swords. Entire existence consumed by some sort of deep emotional pain or trauma, because we're dealing with ancestry. So we have Saturn in Libra. Right now I said Pluto is in Capricorn. And we see the first thing out of the gate, we have Capricornian energy with that Saturn in Libra energy. So Libra is often 11, in some decks it's 8. The difference between that is 3, which is interesting in itself. But I see the scales being in balance, and I see the center 1 and then the 1 on the either side. So this could be a malignment of masculine and feminine energies, of light and dark, of a duality that is tangled because of a painful truth, or the aspects in pain because the truth is being withheld, or there's a lack of balance there. Alright, and then emotionally, the King of Cups. So again, this idea of emotions out of balance. This is a 5, because a 14 can break down to a 5, or it's a 1. So already I see 3 and 1, that could be 13, but I also see 5 and 3, that's 8. That's the other version of justice, or it could be linked in with strength. There's a weakness. This could also be overly sensitive. I can't handle my emotions, so every time someone speaks a truth that I'm afraid of, it wounds me deeply and I can't let go of it. This is also a bit 4, a foundational number, but it could also be 2 of Swords if I subtract this, ending up being a hard time seeing other perspectives, which, you know, instead of being able to weigh options on the scales, weigh perspectives, my perspective is you're attacking me and I can't see the other point of view. So there's this idea of emotional manipulation, fear, poor me, control drama. Someone's always out to get me. Now, for the past, in the thoughts and perceptions and communication, what's interesting is we have 10 of Pentacles. So we have a completion here of some kind. Mercury in Virgo. Interesting. So we have Mercury energy in the communication slot. I get this idea of I can get what I want if I'm the damsel in distress, because that Virgo energy tells me like a younger version of the Empress. Like princess energy. And there we have Judgment. So right before this, I was saying that there was this, that the beginning of November is like the Judgment card. And here we see fire energy and Pluto energy. So the manifestation is to resolve, or well, yeah, the manifestation is to resolve karma. It's that you have to be aware of karmic cycles in the physical world in order to release yourself from them. And we can see that this is answering this energy. We're dealing with emotions that are blocking the energy from flowing out of the solar chakra. Alright, so I just realized that I don't know if I'm supposed to read this the person first or the ancestors first. I'm already over here, so I'm just going to read this first. Maybe I'll change it up for the next one. I don't know. I haven't done this reading in a while. So in the present, we have a challenge card in the Wands energy. The Hanged Man. So this is actually good. We go from 3 to 12. It's like I'm trying to listen to my guides, but I'm impatient. How long do I have to hang here? Like, I feel like nothing's happening. You know, just sort of like Houdini trying to wriggle out of his bindings there. A little bit like, oh, what's the guy that does it these days? David Blaine for the kids. It's like, I want to try. This is like trying to be an escape artist, but still being tied to this idea of you really need to listen to these downloads. Hanged Man is Neptune energy. So we see this, it's sort of like, do I really have to wait until November 28th to get out of this? Right? It's like I'm feeling the pressure of the retrograde to deal with my own subconscious issues. Emotionally, in the present, the Knight of Pentacles. Okay? I feel like these two cards, the King of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles, are related. It's like, I don't want to think about my emotions. I just want to make it in the physical world. But what's happening is that things are going very slowly. There's a root issue that's hanging over you. No matter how much you think you're in the light, you can't escape this root problem. And it's causing the progress to be slow. And we see that in this impatience here. It's like, well, I'm not going to work on my emotions. I'm going to go try and see what I can get for me. You know, like a what's in it for me energy. Knight of Pentacles is Leo and Virgo energy. Okay. Wait, no, that can't be right. No, that is right. Ugh, I was like, what the hell? Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So I'm not communicating anything but, like, I'm not gonna communicate with my emotions or communicate with my root problems. I'm intent on retail therapy, or I validate my feelings by what I can sell and how I can do my work. But the issue here is that the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest knight. So in the thoughts and perceptions, I have the Lovers. This is 6. Now what's interesting is I have 12 here. A knight can be a 1 or a 12. So there's this steadiness of Hanged Man. Now the Knight of Pentacles, I associate knights with the Hanged Man. When the Hanged Man is inverted, to me it's like the knight's ready to go. Here it's like, I want to go but I'm not ready. Well, I'm going to go anyway. I'm going to cut that rope on my leg with the lance, and I'm going to set out. Half-cocked, maybe. And then it breaks down from 12 and 12, and now I'm at a 6. Like, when I try to communicate with the world, like, some of the, it's like some of the message is actually missing. The Lovers is Gemini energy. That's more mercurial energy here. This is the North Node right now. And it should be a positive card, right? I'm putting out there that I want love, I want emotional fulfillment, but it's also making a choice, right? I choose to, I'm deciding to move out and try to claim something for my heart, even if I might not be ready. But I think, like, I think I want what I want. This is also healing. Right? There's supposed to be healing done in terms of the communication. You would think that these two cards here look pretty rosy, but what happens is when the past catches up with the present, we get a Tower moment, which is fire. And then we have the Two of Cups in manifestation. So what's happening is that by jumping the shark on these cosmic downloads and not doing this full emotional cleansing work down into the root and the sacral chakra, where we don't feel safe, like someone's out to get us, when our manifestation is only a third of what it's supposed to be. I want to be the Lovers, but I can barely talk to somebody else. You know, we're not vulnerable with each other, and there's a shadow behind us. No, we see the past and the present colliding with the physical world. I have Judgment and the Two of Cups, Venus in Cancer. I get 22, double 11. It's a very resonant number. It breaks down to 4, which is a foundation. But there's this idea of justice and universal timing and ancestral link-up and balance with the number 11. And it's coming in, we have a reference to it with the 111 of the Roman numeral 3, and then it comes in like 22, like dropped right onto your head. So let's look at this potential future here. Okay, so this potential future is that in the core, we have all this yellow energy now. But look what's happening. We're setting out on the foundation of orange into, so we're wearing red, right? We've gotten into the root problem. We're getting into a foundational quality of being able to hold our own in our sacral chakra. We've reduced our shadow to a point where it's no longer this haze hanging over us, but just sort of ambient mountains. right, in the distance. And we're heading into this core of ourselves. Now, what's interesting is that it's coming in as Pentacles. Page of Pentacles is a springtime energy, which is Aries energy, which is fire energy again. Okay, so this is all happening while Mars is retrograding in Aries, so I'm not surprised to see that. But again, there's this idea of foundational energy, of sacral energy, of trying to get a hold of a balance between emotional well-being and material things. So in the future where this can be resolved, we step out as in Pentacles, but we're only a page because we realize that we're setting out on a journey, like undiscovered territory. To boldly go where no page has gone before. And what's interesting too is that if we start out with judgment, we're answering that in a manifestation spot by saying, I'm manifesting, but I'm going to close the book and open a new page in a different book. And we have a page here. So emotionally, in the potential future, we have the Three of Cups. Now, this is kind of weird. What's this energy? Mercury in Cancer. Okay, so this is, say, coming out of the Mercury retrograde, dealing with a moon energy. There's a full moon on October 31st, the death knell of the old year. And then immediately afterwards, the light is dwindling. So there is this Cancerian energy here. But I see these cards as sort of being like this card, the Three of Cups inverted, is answering this Three of Swords. It's saying, I'm going to empty out these swords. But it's also referencing this Two of Cups. Balance and the moon. Okay. So I wasn't going to talk about it, but at the end of October, Venus and Mercury are going to be in the same place. They're both going to be in Libra. And I'm assuming, since it's like, it starts on like the 27th or something. Let me see. I think I have it written down. Where is it? Okay, so on the 29th, Mercury and Venus are both going to be in Libra with the sun in Scorpio. And they're going to be there for at least a couple of days, right? I mean, Mercury stays in one place for at least a week. So at the beginning of November, they're still going to be together in Libra. And that's what I see with these cards. And again, related Cancerian energy, the full moon is helping push this emotional energy in. Cancer is very emotive. It's like the sensitive poet of the water signs, whereas Scorpio is very fiery, and Pisces is very much more in the subconscious. Scorpio is a little bit more death metal, and Cancer is a little bit more love songs. And Pisces is like, it's like the Led Zeppelin song about throwing the ring into Mordor. Gollum. What was I saying? Oh, this is a 3 and that's a 3. And in order to dump the swords out of the heart and get the healing, there's this idea of I'm dumping out my emotions. You know, it's like I'm holding on to acid emotions, which is keeping these metal things sort of frozen together. You gotta get the WD-40 in there and lubricate them and yank that rusty stuff out of there. And in doing so, there's this emotional like I'm getting this idea of like rusty old water, but also blood. Now, usually this is like celebration, and here it's like, oh, I'm not going to be partying all the time anymore. But for me, this is like 3 cups for 3 swords. I'm getting a lot of imagery of like analogies to an engine with like pistons and the engine being jammed up and things like that. $11 and 3, that's 14. That's balance. Let's see what's over here in the communication. Recording? Okay. 4 of Wands. I'm not surprised to see this because I was getting that 4 energy over here. Look how, like, almost, I think every single one of these cards at least has some significant yellow on it. 4 of Wands is Venus in Aries. So again, there's this Venus energy and Mars retrograding in Aries. They really, the Martian energy really wants to be with Venus. And it's just sort of like calling me in. Now what's interesting is I have 4 and 6, that's 10, and 10, 20, that's judgment there. And it's like you have the ability to like figure out how to get this. $14 and 4, that's 18, that's a moon energy. I don't know if I want to say anything more about that or not. What's interesting is that the 4 of Wands, that sort of 11, 11, could be twin flame, could be universal timing, the balance of the masculine and feminine, the light and the dark, the sort of foundation and healing. What's interesting though is this is actually a sand castle. And the manifestation possible for the future is the Emperor. So this is actually coming in inverted, but this is just, again, that Mars retrograde in Aries energy. You know, it's like, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing yet. I'm just starting out here. Give me a minute. I feel like these go together. It's about adaptability, right? If I build my sandcastle and someone comes and kicks it down, I'm not going to take it personally. I'm going to say, okay, let me look for more stable, fertile ground. You know, like, I don't want to throw a pity party every time I have to reassess my worldview. Okay. So let me look at these charms here. This is going to be advice for this pile here. So let me look at what's inverted first. Actually, maybe not. Maybe they're coming in pairs, in groups. So I have this castle. This is essentially my 4 of Wands charm. And it's got these mittens with it, but they're inverted. You know, it's like, I'm not going to be out in the cold anymore. This is the idea of I'm going to build something where I'm not going to be left out anymore. Kind of answers this. 10 divided in 2 is 5. 5 pentacles is I'm out in the cold. The shark here in the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck represents like an emotional issue that just keeps circling you. It's going to bite your ankles and you ignore it. And then it has the electric guitar with it that was inverted. And just get this sort of... Didn't I say Scorpio is like heavy metal? It's like I'm trying to unplug your amplifier, but I still feel you nibbling at my heels. Like, no matter how much you try to turn down and say, like, no, I'm going to ignore this music. Which is interesting because the knight is dressed in heavy metal, literally. There, if I could talk. What else is here? I mean, I made a lot of music-related charms. So I have these headphones here, right? The idea of I'm not going to listen to you. Okay, so I just have the R on here because this is the right headphone. But when I use the Uno deck, the reverse cards I use as kings. So I see an R there and it tells me R reverse, which is a king. What's interesting is that the only king that's out here is in reverse. I mean, the emperor as well, but, you know, it's like I'm not going to... Again, it's this idea of off balance, right? If only one of the headphones is working, the sound's going to be off. And then I have the cello over here with this candelabra. To me, I was getting this, like, the idea of the two cellos guys, but also Apocalyptica, which they do have a skull on one of their albums. But when I see a candle with this, it tells me old. Like, classical, couple hundred years ago, right? This is something that's been playing out for a long time. And speaking of a long time, here's a nautilus. Gradually expanding over time, but has been around for, you know, I mean, in this case, hundreds of millions of years, but there's something that's been going on for a long time. Now I see a leaf here. There. A leaf. To me, this goes with the page, like I'm turning a new leaf, I'm turning the page. But right with that, I have this kangaroo, like, kangaroo will fight you. Like an anger position. And in reverse, I have the cube, which can be the physical world. Right? Or, like, I don't want to be square and rigid in my manifestation. But also here, with that little set, the heart. I need to turn a new leaf and follow my heart more than fighting for this same old rigid position of somebody's out to get me. So they have a stick, a fork in me, I'm done. For me, this is like 10 of Swords. Like, I'm ready to give up. This is... I just heard, do you really want to hurt me? Do you really want to make me cry? With a frying pan, it was reversed. So for me, this would be like out of the frying pan into the fire, but this is like maybe a little gun shy or like cold and dead, right? There's no heat here. But also the gumball machine. Or, well, a vending machine. You know those like plastic little things that have like rings or slime or whatever in them? It's like hitting the feeder bar to try to get something to be excited about just for, you know, a little bit of money for some endorphins. And this goes really well with this. It's like I might feel dead inside and cold and nothing's gonna light my fire, but if I just get a couple of things to distract me from it, maybe I'll be alright. These are all in reverse together. So I have the sunglasses and a snowman. Oh, that's a new one. That's a new charm that I made more recently. And with them, the skull. I'm getting like a little bit of the future's so bright I've got to wear shades. But also this idea of Frosty the Snowman. Like at the end of the movie, he melts away. He's dead. And if he had enough shade, maybe he could stay alive a little bit longer. But the idea is that if you stay in the dark, you'll never have any kind of transformation, because the death cycle doesn't mean the end of reality as you know it. You're not like, you might not literally die. It's like the unknown to some extent. And there's I mean, this judgment call really is saying you need to stop hiding under the umbrella and come out and melt that snow that's holding these swords in place. Now these other charms here, speaking of melting, we have a fire-breathing dragon. Okay, I'm gonna melt the snow there. And Jupiter, I can get it. So there's Jupiter. Sagittarius energy. We also have fire energy. It's the wheel, right? It's the karmic wheel. I'm resolving karma. I'm going to heat up my situation. I also have a number 10 here, which is a completion. And then I have the caution symbol. And the podium. So what I'm getting is, like, watch what you say. Watch what you tell yourself. You know, don't shit talk yourself down into a position that's going to keep you stuck in this cycle of being afraid to release emotions. I'm afraid people are going to judge me if I let my true self out enough to heal, so I'm just going to pretend to be somebody I'm not so they'll like me, and maybe they won't tell that I'm faking it. But this potential future is setting up a place where there's going to be a little bit more adaptability. There's a different word than adaptability. I think it begins with A, but I can't think of it. It's like you're able to react to situations and be innovative and be able to solve your problems in a more fluid manner. But I'm also distracted because I'm seeing a page here, 1 or 11, and I'm seeing a 4 here in upright in this potential future, and I see 15, I see devil energy. But that Capricornian energy is with Saturn, Sagittarius, and Pluto all in Capricorn. They're not partying, they're doing work. It's this indication, and in the Syrian Starseed Tarot, the devil card is called shadow, and we see that shadow here. It's doing the shadow work. It's melting the emotions. It's getting those rusty swords out of the heart. But I also see inverted, I see a 3 and a 4, which is the masculine and the feminine. And I see this idea of, it's like giving up the idea of he said, she said, and being able to resolve the dark and the light to be able to have this idea of what a stronger foundation could feel like. All right. So let's look at the past influences here. These are going to be blurry back here, but I'm going to move them up. So these are very specific, but these are more like tell me a story. There's no slots aside from nearer past ancestors, middle past ancestors, and like wicked old ancestors. Okay, so we have in the very distant past ancestors. Is that the king? Lead the way. Number 354. Enhance calm, they're coming out. Side note, the cat emerges from the bag, number 78. You know I love you, number 36. And a new view of reality, awareness of distortions. Number 271. So this is a completion, right? 2 and 7 and 1. This is the Hermit, 9. This is 15, 7 and 8 together, and 3 and 5 and 4 is 12, which breaks down to 3. So what's interesting is that this breaking down to a 12 is that Hangman number. I'm trying to understand something. Is that them? Oh, I don't, like, is that the King? Well, I'm going to lead the way. Well, the King isn't leading a goddamn thing over here. Right? Enhanced calm, they're coming out. Like, I'm going to be who I am and not just a third of who I am in order to release this judgment. It's like, come on, be yourself. You know I love you. Well, you know, if someone's going to judge me, they're going to be in some kind of distortion, or I'm distorted and it's going to upset other people. So there's this tension in the past of, like, oh, you're being yourself? Are we supposed to do that too? Like, what? Okay, I'm also getting this idea of the patriarchy, where it's like someone is in charge of things, but they're in a distortion, so everyone else sort of goes into hiding who they really are in order to match the distortion of the ruling class. Of, you know, like, maybe we love our real selves, but we're going to play along so as not to be persecuted. And in the middle time scale ancestors, a blessing on your boundaries, 33. Ooh. Interesting. Okay. So I've been having some trouble with the sacral energies this week, and I've been sort of like jealous, butthurt, and also like, why isn't anybody listening to me? And like these sort of half-assed, self-hatey ego trauma, like ego tantrum things that are happening to me, and the sort of like low-grade depression and stuff. It's like it's like a reprise? How do you pronounce that? Reprise of this long cycle of like emotional trauma that basically stopped for me in March, like 7 months ago. And with this Mars retrograding in Aries energy, it's sort of, the ego is sensing its death now and is kicking up again. You know, like, I know that there's sacral healing. It's like, in order to be stable in my own creativity, I need to cleanse that last bit, and I've been struggling with it. So the other day, I'm like, okay, I need some healing for my sacral chakra. Like, so I put out some sacral chakra music, and I was trying to like do some cleansing-y stuff, movements or whatever. And I took an orange Sharpie and I wrote on my arm here, I don't know if that's going to come in, I wrote 33 on my arm there. Just because that's happened to be what came into my mind. And I wrote a 4 somewhere else, like on my abdomen, because nearer to the solar chakra. So I 33 and I circled it. I'm like, I don't know, but it totals 6, which is healing. I was like, whatever. I'm just going to write 33 because that's what it tells me. But I come in here and I'm talking about sacral energy and protection. It says a blessing on your boundaries, number 33, which is exactly what's on my hand. So, and she's got a tattoo here on her arm, although it's not the same. And it's certainly not the same as my tattoo down here, but this idea of healing through creativity, right? I'm altering the energy. I'm doing something magically. And what's interesting is that this character here is pulling out these swords. Did I restart that yet? Good, okay. So blessing on your boundaries, right? I'm not, like, I might change my behavior to suit the status quo, but there's a line that you're not going to cross. But we see in the past for whoever's watching this, or for whoever you're watching this for, those boundaries, by the time you came along, completely breached over and over again. But here in the middle past, when there's still awareness that there was a distortion, it was like, hold up a goddamn second here, man. Notice that we go from 22 to 33, but this is also the Empress number twice. A blessing on a homecoming, 44. So we're ramping up by these 11s. And now we have another sword. And another feminine character. It's like Little Red Riding Hood here. So I'm getting the Sam the Sham and the Pharaoh's song. Hey there, Little Red Riding Hood, you sure are looking good. You're everything that a big bad wolf would want. And the king in distortion is a big bad wolf, essentially. It's a thematic character. It's like a rabid and ravenous, like a demanding of resources, right? It's like you can see that from the past of an ever increasing also that also looks like 11, an ever increasing like cosmic timing demand for, I want what you have, I'm going to take what you have, puts this character into a position of, I'm only satisfied when I have a certain amount of material resources, otherwise I feel like I have nothing. Oh, I'm relieved that it's not a 55. I don't think this has a 55 in this deck anyway. So inverted, a blessing to bring prosperity, 21, which breaks down to 3. But inverted essentially is 12. Hanged man energy, right? It's like, I know that I might, like, my, 4 says homecoming. That's also the house, 4 times 11. That 4 over here. But the 77 minus 21 is 56, which is 11. There's a realization of, you're about to cross my boundary. But if I run away and hide, like, somehow I know that that which I've worked so hard to nourish is going to be, like, pilfered in some way. And it sets up this background for everybody's out to get me. This ancestral wound of, well, if I have stuff, someone's just going to attack me for it. If I have emotional well-being, someone's just going to kick me in my emotional nuts. Which is interesting because here, like in the past, you would think that what's being taken is resources, but it could be, I'm taking your national identity, I'm taking your culture, I'm taking your spirituality, and we see that in colonialism as well. Okay, so let's see near ancestors. The High Priestess. Okay, so I saw this here, High Priestess and Magician, but here's the High Priestess. 2, which looks like 11, right? coming in right near that in the reading anyway. And this crystal ball here with the moon. I was just thinking, when is the new moon in November? But it's probably going to be around the 14th, which would be balance. But I see the crystal ball here, and I see the indigo and the violet. Right? It's like I can see into the future where the crown and the third eye are going to be activated, but it's like I know I'm descending into darkness. Now what's interesting is also that for me, even though the High Priestess is the moon, I often get Neptunian energy, which is going to be moving during November. The Ace of Pentacles inverted, right? This is what I was saying. Somebody's taking my stuff. My prosperity is dwindling. And we go from this idea of multiples of 11 down to a single 11, which is interchangeable with the 2, and then split it in half. And I have a 1 inverted. Like, spiritual growth by the time it gets to your near ancestors is halted. You're not going to be able to manifest with your psychic abilities. And what's happening here is, you know, for better or for worse, this universal timing is saying, hey, guess who gets to flip the switch on this train here to jump it off of the collision course. You know, and it might not seem fair, but think, if you're in this position, what are you working on that's going to come down into the next generations? Now, you might not have any kids of your own, like physical, literal children, but you're setting an energy pattern that's affecting other people in your generation. There's a link up to people that are born at the same time as you, and it's going to have an effect on the frequency in the earth itself. All right, so let's look at these advice cards here. So there's, I mean, for the wrap up for the whole reading, there's one card from the ancients and one card from the near ancients. Would you literally die if you stopped following the societal program, comparing yourself to others? Is this not literally what I've been talking about? Now it's 161, so there's an 11 with a 6 sandwiched between it, which is the lovers that's healing. But it's also like the absolute value of 6, the absolute value of healing and making a choice and loving yourself. You know, if you're pretending to be like everybody else, could you die? No, because the death cycle isn't literally death. Not in the spiritual way, not really in the way that these cards are talking about. Even if your physical body died, you would still be transitioning to something else and then probably be born again. But, I mean, hopefully you can resolve this issue without having to have a physical death, unless you went to a near-death experience and then you're still not really dead. But the basic idea is I'm having a spiritual transition. I'm having a dark night of the soul moment. And the crux of it is, am I going to be myself? Am I going to pop out from this tower as the magician? A blessing on your creativity, number 19. So I was talking here about this creative expression. And this, you know, this character is wearing sort of a burlap sack, more or less. And the creativity is flowing. And now we have this hair is the color of the sacral chakra. We have 19, which is the sun number, which is more, is the solar energy. And then we have blue here, which is opening up the throat chakra, communication, right? I can communicate who I am and what it is that I want to express to other people by being in tune with my lower chakras, opening my throat chakra. But this brown color here, coming through from this original outfit, is like I'm grounded as well. Right? I'm standing firm on the ground. My dark mountains that were back here that were still really shadowy, there's light shining on them. I'm not afraid of this water here. And I'm in tune with nature. I'm in tune with the earth and with myself by correlation. Right? And this person, you know, she's not in the city. She's not in the middle of society hanging out with all her friends over here. I'm just saying she because it looks like a feminine. It could be anybody. Right? This could just be a dude with a wig. It doesn't matter. But we have a couple of animal friends here. It's like, if you are yourself, those who resonate with your message are going to come in here. And what I think is interesting is that this tattoo here, being this sort of bluish color, I feel like it's transformed into this robe. You know, it's like, if I stay true to my core, I'm going to, the magician, turn my whole tattoo is going to like manifest itself into a robe with a similar style. And I can, you know, dress myself in a way that expresses who I am and what it is too that I want to say. So we have, now this breaks down to an 8. 1 and 6 and 1 is 8, which could be justice, but it could also be strength. And then the 19 breaks down to 10, which is a completion. 6 and 10 is 16, okay, 18. Yeah, I mean, it breaks down to the moon, which is 18, which breaks down to 9, which is hermit energy, which is developing that inner light. Okay, so hopefully this gives some perspective into how ancestral trauma breaks down and how we deal with the details of it ourselves. It's being able to feel comfortable in your own skin, basically, and to not rely on exterior things to bring you value, whether it's stuff or people's opinions. All right, so if you want to get a personal reading, you can get this reading, $77. The complete list of readings I have and how much they are is in the description box of my infomercial video, which is going to be linked below this one. I have all these links and contacts and stuff listed with that as well, or you can just email me, thecatcamebackatcamp@gmail.com, and I'll get you that list. If you want to hit that tip jar, energy exchange, and so on, that's paypal.me/CATtheMinion. I also have Cash App and Venmo. If you want to get some art therapy type stuff, or perhaps change your energy, I mean, it's stuff, but it's there for a reason. So I have psychedelic type things like this. Cafe Press, Deviant Art. I've got coloring books if you want to help express yourself that way. Dark Night of the Soul poetry book there on Amazon. I also have actual things you can get in my catalog. So that's all going to be linked there with this other stuff. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, check out my playlists tab and my discussion tab, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye.